Okay, it's time to take a look at some of what's in the papers on this Sunday morning.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start with the Daily News. Here's the front page, Tunnel of Deceit. The headline this morning referring to huge cost overruns at the MTA's East Side Rail project. According to this report by the Daily News, the MTA's East Side Access project, you'll recall we've done a lot of reporting on this as well, to bring LIRR service to Grand Central Terminal. Well, according to the Daily News, it is years late and billions over budget. Now, the MTA says that it is on time, but according to this report, that's not the case. The paper goes even further, saying the MTA kept the public in the dark about all this by telling one story about the project, while construction managers repeatedly warned about another. It would cost billions more and take years longer to build. The latest cost estimate for this project, $11.6 billion. The MTA says that the service is expected to launch sometime by the end of this year. Of course, we're almost at the end of the year now.
The city paid more than $9 million to a former Rikers Island detainee. He claimed his head was slammed 185 times by another detainee in 2019, while correction staff did nothing. This settlement is believed to be the largest ever paid to one plaintiff for a failure to act by correction staff.
A story of residents who fear a wave of luxury apartments will price them out of their longtime homes. They are turning their sights now on an upcoming vote in the city council on this project. They're hoping it will reshape the Innovation Queens project. This is a mixed-use district that would be the largest development in Queens in many decades. It includes 12 residential and commercial towers. How many apartments exactly would be earmarked as affordable has been the key point of contention, and you can basically repeat that story throughout the city, right, in so many different neighborhoods.
Yeah. In every neighborhood, for sure. All right, let's move on to the New York Post now. Shame of a nation, the headline this morning. The paper criticizing homeless encampments in Washington, D.C. The paper says D.C. is overrun with 10 cities because the city and federal governments lifted enforcement measures during the pandemic. The paper says over the past 2 years, these encampments have exploded, allowing homeless people to live on the streets near popular tourist attractions. New York Republican Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis has even chimed in, saying Democrat-run cities are being driven into the ground, and D.C. is no different.
The Post this morning also reporting several smoke shops in the city selling candy bars that contain an illegal drug. The Post found 5 storefronts in the East Village and in Chinatown selling these bars containing the hallucinogenic component in magic mushrooms. They cost anywhere from $50 to $90, these bars. Most of the stores, according to the Post, have the bars tucked away under the counter. Shop owners do face possible felony charges if they are caught selling this type of stuff.
The Mets' latest subway ad campaign is a bit too much to handle for some diehard fans. The team rolled out the campaign, you might remember, to celebrate the team's first playoff run since 2016. Less than a week after the unveiling, the Mets lost to the Padres in the wild card round, but the ads, they are still up. You can see there, if you look closely, the train adorned with all of this Mets fan pictures over here. One Mets fan saying that it's just a bad reminder that the Yankees are still playing and the Mets are gone every time that train
I was just thinking of this the other day because I saw one of those ads. I'm like, ugh, that's a bad reminder. They're not
We're not in the mood to celebrate anymore.
The postseason is over. Let's go to the Times now. Here's one of the headline stories this morning. Takes a closer look at some of the lives lost in Bucha, Ukraine. Hundreds of people, you might recall, were killed during the Russian occupation during the spring. This city is a suburb of the capital of Kyiv. Again, the Times kind of digs a little bit deeper about some of these women. One woman was badly beaten and shot in the eye. Another woman held captive by a Russian soldier. She was found in a cellar, shot in the head. And how about this? An 81-year-old grandmother found hanging in her garden. This city really has bore the brunt of the atrocities by Russian soldiers. There's still a lot of information lacking exactly about the deaths of these women. The Russians, by the way, have since pulled out of that area.
10 years after Hurricane Sandy, New Yorkers in the Rockaways who were impacted by that storm now helping people in Florida impacted by Ian. For example, sisters-in-law Lynn and Elizabeth Duffy remembered how strangers came from everywhere to help them out during Sandy. They remembered the most helpful assistance they received, actually gift cards to places like Home Depot or Best Buy stores that helped them replace some of those destroyed items. They've collected $5,000 in gift cards for Florida residents after Ian.
Yeah, returning the favor. Evolving beyond the stoner age, marijuana dispensaries freshen up their look to appeal to some new customers. So these are some photos of some weed stores in Los Angeles, West Hollywood, also in Toronto. As cannabis legislation expands, including here in New York, weed store owners focusing more on design. So gone are the Grateful Dead tapestries and the lava lamps. These stores really are less weed dealer and more high-end boutique or fancy cocktail lounges.
The Wall Street Journal looking at the top 50 companies for getting ahead. A new study ranks more than 200 of the largest U.S. companies by job opportunity using a different range of criteria. That includes wages and how the companies promote and retain employees. AT&T is at the top of the list, followed by American Express and then Cisco Systems. Also in the top 10, Southwest Airlines and International Paper. And there are companies that are called launching pads, right? They serve as a springboard for better jobs elsewhere. Some of those include CVS and Verizon.
And the Journal looks at airline lounges. They once offered a quiet refuge from the chaos of the airport. Well, not so much anymore. There have been so many complaints about overcrowding, especially since travel rebounded during the pandemic. Well, to cut down on congestion, some clubs are setting limits on the duration of your stay and the number of guests that you can bring in. The Journal also has a rundown of some of the better clubs. They include the Emirates business class lounges over at way across the other side of the world, Dubai Airport, and Air France's La Première. It just sounds fancy, La Première. First class lounge in Paris. There's a spa there and it serves up facials and massages. So you're nice and relaxed right before or in between flights, and then you get on your flight and you're aggravated because the seats are uncomfortable, the service is bad. But
gives you a little respite. It does seem, though, I have no mathematical equation for figuring this out. It does feel like more people are talking about how they're in the Delta Sky Club. I feel like I see people posting about that more.
Yeah, I'm a Delta flyer too, and it seems they're pretty.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you go to the Sky Club.
No, I don't. I like being in the open air and observe people.
A man of the
people amongst the crowd.
That is a look. Some of which you'll find in the papers on this Sunday morning.